Welcome back to FURYCAST. But first, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and of course, smash the bell for notifications. And don't forget to sign up to the mailing list for my new graphic novel, illustrated by the world-famous Ebi Canales. Sign up now. The link is in the description. He's been training in martial arts for over 50 years, and since has trained and competed around the world before he came to the US and founded his own style and martial arts organization known as Bushi Ban Martial Arts. Today on FURYCAST, I welcome Master Zulfi Ahmed. How are you doing today, Master Zulfi?
I am doing fantastic, Derrick. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. You're definitely a legend in the martial arts and a absolute legend in the city of Houston, which you've done so much for with your organization, with your, how would you call Bushi Ban? Would you call it a chain or would you just call it a league of schools?
It's an international martial arts school organization. It's a system and it's a style and it's a chain of schools, not only in Houston, but literally around the world. So very blessed to be part of it.
And I'm sure there's an interesting story and journey involved in that. You know, anytime someone is as successful as you, especially within the martial arts, I guarantee there's a good story. And I'm a filmmaker and a martial artist and a gym owner myself, but the filmmaker in me always wants to hear the story. You know what I mean? So if you could take us back to your childhood and how you grew up and what first led you into the martial arts.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We all have a story. You have a story. Everyone has a story. And so I was born in Pakistan. You know, Pakistan is in the Southeast Asia region, you know, sandwiched between India, Afghanistan, China. So I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and my parents had migrated to Pakistan when India and Pakistan was one at one time. So in 1947, when they had the partition between India and Pakistan, so my parents, my mother and my father, migrated to Pakistan around 48 or 49. And then I was born in the early 60s in Pakistan. And Karachi was my place of birth, and I grew up in Karachi till age 23. And I migrated to the United States at age 23 in 1985. So I landed in New York City, July 17th, 1985. So yes, growing up in Pakistan, I grew up in a wonderful household. My mother was a school teacher. She had her own school. She was a principal and owner of her own school. She taught kids from kindergarten to, I think, 7th grade. My father was a businessman, and he had many different businesses. He had, basically, he was in the import, export, and brokerage business, and he had done many other businesses. And at time, his business was extremely successful, and I'd seen times when his business was struggling and how he picked it back up. So I come from a well-educated family. My father had a law degree. My mother had a bachelor in arts. I have 2 elder sisters and a brother. One of my sister is a professor in pediatric oncology in New York. She's a senior doctor. My other sister is also a filmmaker, producer, owner of a television station, radio station, big advertising company, co-owner with her husband. And my brother was in the military. He retired as a major in the military after serving for many years. And I'm the youngest of the 4. My parents have passed on, but my siblings are, thank God, are still on this earth. As a matter of fact, I just spoke to my sister a few minutes ago, and she called from Pakistan. She said, everything good in Houston? There's some fires going on. I said, I have no idea if there's a fire going on in Houston area. Do you know anything about that?
No, Hawaii has some fires.
I know Hawaii, but there's something happened in Houston area also. So I need
people don't realize how huge Houston is. You know, the call you say, I hear it's raining in Houston.
Yes.
It's like, dude, it's
So
way on the other side of Houston.
so I spoke to her, and so starting my martial arts journey, I started martial arts at a very young age. My grandfather
You
was the
started in
patron.
Pakistan?
Well, yes, in Pakistan, but I want to go back, connect to my grandfather was a patron of wrestling, Indo-Pakistani wrestling, and the Great Gama. I don't know if you heard about the Great Gama, the one of the most revered, legendary wrestling champion. I mean, you Google the Great Gama.
Yeah,
The
I'd like to
Great
know more.
Gama used to come whenever he was in that certain state. My grandfather had a wrestling pit in his property, and the Great Gama would come and do Zor. Zor is the wrestling training in his pit, and my grandfather would sponsor some of his training session and sponsor, because my grandfather had a title of Nawab. Nawab is like Sir, Lord, like a lord, and very highly educated, well respected. So he was like a sponsor to these wrestling matches. My uncle was a wrestler. And then my father had love of wrestling. He never wrestled. He was a great sportsman, tennis, and hockey and all. So he would take me to, in Pakistan, these wrestling matches, the Bolu brothers, the great Bolu brothers, whose grandson fought Antonio Inoki. And I was on that card also in 1975 or 76.
You were on a card with Antonio Inoki.
Yep, I was an undercard.
Hey, you were on the card. Don't matter.
I was on the card. I can claim that it was like
That's right.
Pre-show, like the pre-show deal. I was young, and we had, so it was Bando boxing. It was not wrestling, but that was in the national stadium in Pakistan. I think we had over 45,000 spectators, and it was telecasted. That fight you can find Gama versus Akram on YouTube still. And I was ringside of that fight. And that's the first time I saw somebody armbar another person. And, Antonio Inoki broke Akram's shoulder with the armbar.
Oh, wow.
So that was like a mixed martial arts match, freestyle. We call it freestyle wrestling. Mm-hmm. So you can Google it, YouTube it, Inoki versus Akram. Okay. So anyway, so my father would take me to the Akhara. Akhara is the pit where the wrestlers would do training, wrestling, Zor at the Bolu Pelwan. Pelwan is the wrestling champion. So Bolu's Akhara, when I was young, very little, and I would see them, and my father said, go run around, and the wrestlers would, show me a couple of moves. And so I started literally hanging out, not on a daily basis, but once in a while. And then I would go see the matches, the big matches in the stadiums, thousands of people. And that got me really, really into the wrestling, combative sports. And we would wrestle in our neighborhood. All the kids would get together in the park, and they were a wrestling kind of coach. They would help us wrestle. Then in early 70s, I got into boxing, neighborhood boxing.
So, but real quick, when you were with your grandfather at the pit, how old were you?
Grandfather, no, I was too young. My father.
Oh, that was your father. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So was your father.
Probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. That was my age.
Okay. Continue, please, sir. It's very interesting.
Then in early 70s, I started boxing, neighborhood boxing, and it's called the Karachi Metropolitan Complex. Karachi Metropolitan, and there was a boxing coach. He's passed away now. So he started working with us on boxing. My brother was in the military school. He was in the cadet school. So he would come back from cadet college, and he was a boxer, and he started doing judo. So he would, beat me up with boxing. He would show me judo moves. And our neighbor across the street in the house was also a judo brown belt. So we started learning judo. Now, it was not a judo school. It was like neighborhood kids got together. We got our comforters, the old comforters from home, and those comforters were our mat. And he was a brown belt in judo, and he would teach us judo throws, judo rolls, and we would sometimes literally do rolls on concrete. And that lasted about 8, 9 months, a year. And then the boxing, I had a few boxing matches, but my parents my father was very against boxing. He did not want me to box. And I was kind of doing this under the radar. And when he found out that I was boxing, he was annoyed and he was not happy. And he said, no, I don't want you to box. So, one of my friends ratted me out that I had just done a boxing match and there were a lot of people. So my father was not very happy about it. So after the boxing match, that was my last boxing match. And then we continued judo. Then
was it head trauma your father was concerned about, you think?
He was concerned more about education. So he didn't want me to get involved in the aspect, because boxing at that time was not for the educated. They were more for the underprivileged. And he was more worried about me not wanting to go to school and getting into a activity which would take away from the school. And yes, a little bit of the physicality of it, but not really. But it was education. And
how involved was your father in with the combat sports? He had the pit at his house, and did he?
My grandfather had the pit. So my father was a patron of wrestling. And he enjoyed wrestling. And on Sunday we would see wrestling on television. So he was really involved with wrestling in the sense as a fan, as a spectator, as a supporter. So, but he didn't really want me to pursue wrestling or boxing or combative sports. He wanted me to pursue education, more academia. But he would introduce me to, the wrestling mindset. But he never discouraged or encouraged wrestling, and he exposed me to it. And he did discourage boxing. And the judo was more of a neighborhood kids getting together, and boxing with my brother also. So it was more of a kids play, having fun, out. So it was not well organized. So in 1974, my teacher, great grandmaster M.A. Thai, he is still alive. He's an immigrant from Burma, Myanmar. Burmese Bando boxing.
Very brutal style, correct?
Yes. So he had migrated. He was a refugee, Burmese refugee in East Pakistan, which is Bangladesh now. And then he migrated to Pakistan, West Pakistan, which is Pakistan now. And he opened his martial arts little school, Bando school in one of the neighborhood. And then this was in 69, I'm sorry, 71, 70, 72. Then in 74, he moved to my neighborhood. He got a really nice location. He's still there. It's at the Karachi Guan Association, KGA ground. Big Guanese, there's a Guanese community. And he rented the pavilion there. And then he started his Burmese boxing, Bando Karate, Judo Art Center there. And in those days, the Chinese Kung Fu movies were really big, so we would watch the movies, and it was right across the street from my house. So my friend said, there's a martial arts school across the street. Now I thought I was, boxer, and I was, did some wrestling and did some judo. I was very young, So I ended up going across the street to look at this. What is this martial arts? We knew the Kung Fu movies, Chopsaki Kung Fu, Chinese.
Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Golden Harvest, Jimmy Wang Yu and all those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So I would go and watch. And one day I walked into the school and I saw this. It was literally like on the movies. There were guys with black uniforms, and my teacher was wearing a red and gold dragon robe. And he had getas. Getas is the wooden clogs. And guy with the, French beard, long hair, looked like a movie star. And tough guy. And he would walk up to me and I said, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. Very, very mean looking individual. And he came up to me, and there were no kids. They're only 17, 18 and older, and adult and rough looking guys. So he came to me, and I was the only kid, and I had two of my buddies, and I'm standing like this in an area. And he came, and I said, "Oh, who's this guy coming? He looks like, the master, And he was the master, wearing the red dragon, golden dragon, red robe, long hair, and walking in his geta, with the wooden clogs, and he had nails in the bottom of his clogs. So he learned how to walk in a certain way. They developed that nails so he could keep his toes outside for checking leg check blocks. Anyway, that's pretty cool.
Wow.
So he walked up to me, and I was a little kid, and he's tall, big guy, and he leaned over, and in his broken English, he said, "How help you? How help you?" And I looked at him and I said, "Wow, man, this guy," and he smiled. And I was not expecting him to smile. And I said, "I'm looking, I want to join." He said, "Oh, do you want to join? But we have no kids. I said, "I would like, can you teach me?" He said, "Okay, come." And he gave me a form, registration form, and he said, "It's 35 rupees. And ask permission, parents permission, and fill permission, parents." I said, "Okay, and come back." So they had 4 days a week classes there. So the next day there was no class. The class was day after. He said, "Come back day after." I said, "Okay." He said, fill, sign, 35 rupees. I said, "Okay." I went. We got 2 forms, me and my buddies. I asked my mom, and she said, "What is this? Bando Karate Judo Art Center." I said, "It's karate, karate. Everybody knew karate." She said, "Okay." And she said, "Is it very violent?" I said, No. It's just karate training. So lo and behold, nobody knew it was Bando. You know what Burmese Bando is?
Yeah, it's a more brutal version of Muay Thai, basically.
Yes. So it was a watered down version. It was not Lethway, where it was Burmese Bando, bare knuckles still. So I filled up.
But headbutts are legal, correct? And
headbutts, elbows, knees, slams, clinches, everything is legal. So, and we used to do that and add a little more different classical flavor to that. So very, very beautifully brutal. Anyway, so I filled it out, got it back, and that was the day I started, 94, and I was his student number 26 in that school. Student number 26. I still have my ID card, and that was the beginning of my beautiful journey of officially registered martial arts. And as it was supposed to be for the summertime. My parents, okay, summertime, because I wanted to join the science club, and so we did for summertime, but that summertime became a lifetime. And as I continued training, and I fell in love with the martial arts, and I started seeing the beauty of the martial arts, and just the culture. It just was me. And then as time grew by, in 1977, I was the first Pakistani martial arts team ever to go out of the country to compete. So I was the youngest in the 5-member team to go to Malaysia. So in Malaysia, they had the Kijo Hanan Open World Karate Championship produced by KBI Karate Budokan International. So the Pakistani team, we went, and at age 14, I competed, and I got a special performance gold medal for being the youngest ever in the KBI World Tournament. They let me in, even though it was 18 and up, but they had no choice. The 14-year-old got there, and my teacher believed that I could hang with those guys. And unfortunately, in the Kumite, I didn't do well. And in one division, they didn't let me in. The other division, I got lost. I lost. And in the third division, I got disqualified. I broke the guy's nose. And that's what Lethway, the Burmese style. And so I got disqualified. But in the weapons and in the kata performance division, I was awarded a gold medal for special performance. While we were in Malaysia, the team, we were there for almost a 2-month tour. So we went to Singapore, we went to different parts of Malaysia, and we learned. And Grandmaster Tai had said, learn as much as you can. He gave us some names of different masters. He said, go learn from them. So we learned. I was introduced to Goju Ryu, Goju Ryu Karate. I was introduced to Panjat Silat martial arts. I was introduced to Kyokushin Kai. So the team traveled from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur to Singapore, and we trained under Shihan Peter Chong. He's still alive. He lives in Singapore. He was the right-hand man for Masoyama. So we had the privilege of training, and I still am connected to him, Shihan Peter Chong. So we were exposed to, Shaolin Kung Fu, and we would just immerse ourselves for almost 2 months in martial arts training: Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Goju Ryu, Silat. We'd, of course, the KBI, Shotokan, Kinshinkan Karate, all day, morning, afternoon, evening, the whole team. Our goal was just train. So that was my first exposure externally. Now, going back in 1975, where I won the junior championship for Open Karate Martial Arts Championship in Pakistan also. So that was all different styles: Taekwondo, Karate, Bando, all styles were involved with that. So since then, I've been exposed to different martial arts, and I continue to learn and train and travel all over the world.
Now,
that was my
sorry to interrupt, sir, but so fascinating. I got so many questions. This 2-month journey, how do you think that affected your martial arts for the rest of your life? Do you think it had an impact?
It had a massive impact. It changed my trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
It changed my mindset. It changed. So when you're exposed to such wonderful, great martial artists from the best area, you are just enamored. You're just in awe. And I loved the martial. So I was like a kid in a candy store, So that was the 1977, August 1977 was the turning point of my martial arts career. The competition, and when I won the gold medal, there were 20,000+ people in Negara Stadium. Negara Stadium is the premier stadium in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And over 20,000 people stood up and started chanting, Pakistana, Pakistana. And that moment was a life-changing moment. A 14-year-old kid, getting a standing ovation and people chanting for his country, and I'm being awarded a gold medal. That moment was a magical moment, and that was a turning point. It was like I was, you imagine a 14-year-old young kid from a third world country standing in the middle of the stadium and over 20,000 people chanting USA, USA, USA.
Oh, yeah.
What overwhelming. And I didn't know what to say. And my captain, the coach, hugging me and tears in their eyes. It was just a moment to just, get mesmerized by. So that was one of the life-changing moments in my martial arts career. And that day I said, this is wonderful. This is what I should be doing, And when we came back to Pakistan, we were given a royal treatment. This is the first time ever any martial arts team had gone out of the country. So we were given a royal treatment. There was a procession, there was news media, television, newspapers. I mean, we were celebrities, and so that helped my teacher. His school grew. That helped my self-efficacy, self-esteem, self-confidence. And that gave me a direction. This is what I want to do. I think I'm pretty good at it. I want to continue doing that. So moments like these, and that is one of our goals, to create moments like these for our students by way of training, teaching, tournaments, so they find that moment of self-realization, their great moment when they're getting the gold medal, when they're receiving a trophy. It changed my life, and I know how it can affect a young mind, a young heart. So
absolutely. So you come back to Pakistan after that. What's next for you?
What's next? We continue training. Now I'm on a journey of becoming a black belt, the youngest black belt in Burmese Bando in Southeast Asia. And so my test.
So would you consider that your first style, even though you had dabbled in these other styles?
Yeah, that was my first formal style where I trained and completed. Now, Grandmaster Tai also was a judo we have such great stories. So in 1976, the Kodokan Judo team, they were on a tour, international tour, to come and spread judo. So in 1976, the three judo masters, 6 Dan, 7 Dan, 8 Dan, and two of them were Olympic judokas, Olympians. They came to Karachi and they did demonstrations. So Grandmaster Tai had done what they call Burmese judo, because if you learn the history of Burma, when the Japanese occupied Burma in Second World War, so the Japanese introduced judo, jiu-jitsu, aikido, and not as much aikido, but judo and jiu-jitsu into Burmese, and they suppressed the Burmese martial arts, and they wanted to introduce the Japanese martial arts, just like the Chinese are doing right now in Burma. They're suppressing the Burmese ethnic martial arts and promoting wushu and kung fu. So Grandmaster Tai also had a black belt training in judo while he was in Burma. So he and two of his top students did randuri, the judo dori, randuri with those judo, because they wanted somebody to do randuri with them, and then open invitation, like open challenge, but invitation, not a negative thing. And they said, who would want to do randuri with us? So Grandmaster Tai and two of my sampais, my seniors, my brothers, they went and they did randuri with this Japanese team. And the Japanese were so in awe with the skill set that they could not take down Grandmaster Tai. They could not take down Master Abid. They became from light, when you start light
randori, light sparring. Let's go light, bro.
It got into that more, challenging thing, and become a little more aggressive, and there were hundreds of people sitting. So it was like a matter of embarrassment, and it was, pride for us and embarrassment for them. So Master Abid was a wrestler technically. So the judoka could not take him down. So they had a draw. Master Tai bowed out. Whenever he saw it was getting a little too rough, he just bowed out and raised the hand of the judoka out of respect for them. And the third guy, who was Master Sensei Altaf, he was probably 70 pounds lighter than the other Olympian judoka. It took him about 3 to 4 minutes, to do a osotogari on Mr. Saki, Altaf Saki, and finally got him down. But there was a 70-pound difference. He was 150 plus pounds, and the other guy was 200 and probably 20 pounds, stocky Japanese guy, champion. So they were so impressed. They invited Master Tai to come and train, and then invited him to the Kodokan and said, we will award you a Rokudan, 6 Dan, if you train with us. So Master Tai humbly declined, said, I have my own bando, I do bando. So we've been training what we call Burmese judo with Master Tai from, through our training, because the school was Tai's Bando Karate Judo Art Center. Bando Karate Judo Art Center. So that was our school, that it was called Tai's Bando Karate Judo Art Center. There were multiple styles being taught at that time. I'm talking in the early 70s. Anyway, so that was the judo training beginning. So I forgot the question, how it led into this. So the judo was introduced different.
Yeah, keep going. You're doing great.
Now, I have another very, very interesting story which very few people know about. In 1977, when we came back from Malaysia after winning after being, top level at the tournament, winning the gold medal, in October 1977, there was 2 brothers who had come to Pakistan from India. This is so cool. And they were jiu-jitsu brown belts. Now listen to this. There is a family in India. It's called the Baroda, Baroada, Baroda family. They call the Baroda Walas. Mm-hmm. Their father was a judo master, and he had trained jiu-jitsu also. So my first exposure to jiu-jitsu was I think in October 1977. So you remember the master Abid? I told you, the guy who the Japanese master could not throw. He was a wrestler basically also.
Mm-hmm.
So at his home, he had invited, through some relatives, they found out they do jiu-jitsu. So they had invited these two judo brown belt brothers, and they were like 150, 170 pounds. And we were having a dinner celebration at his house. So I walk in and I see all the Bando brothers were there. I walk in, I see Master Abid on the floor rolling around with this jujutsu-ka, where he was wearing his jujutsu gi, and they were rolling around, and they were sweaty. It was a small room, sweaty and stinky, and rolling around. And after about 10, 11 minutes, they both stopped. And Master Abid introduced a lot of us to, this is Masood. His name is Masood Barodawala. His father is Dr. Barodawala. I don't remember his name. And he's a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he comes from India. And we will be training with him at the police academy. He's going to teach the police force jiu-jitsu, and for 2 weeks we're going to learn jiu-jitsu from him. Now, Master Abid was pretty big guy, probably 220-pound guy, and this guy was 160, 170, and they rolled around for about 11, 12 minutes, which I saw, and they were rolling before that. And the deal was the Master Abid was not going to use his strength and wrestling, and he wanted to see what this jiu-jitsu thing is. He wanted to see what this thing is, because we were not exposed. We knew judo, and we do judo waza, arashi wazas and all in the judo, but we never did the ground, wrestling / lock. We had judo arm bars and all, but nothing of this sort. So that was my first introduction to Japanese jiu-jitsu. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is that very few people know that pre-Second World War, a lot of Japanese spies were in India, and they were recruiting Indian doctors, professionals to become spies, and they would teach Japanese jiu-jitsu and Japanese martial arts to these spies for safety. And Dr. Barodawala, to my knowledge, Dr. Barodawala was taught by this Japanese spy jiu-jitsu because he connected with them and became an ally. Japanese. There are many, and there are movies also. There's a movie called Rangoon, and there's a movie called another one. It's an Indian movie which depicts this historical fact, how the Japanese spy infiltrated and taught jiu-jitsu in turn, and they spied for the Japanese. Anyway, so Dr. Barodawala was trained by this Japanese jiu-jitsu. I don't know if he was a master or a spy or whatever, but he was trained. And then he went to Japan and trained jiu-jitsu. So just like the Gracie family was taught by the Japanese Count Koma, same thing, and at almost the same time. This was being paralleled in other parts of the world. So I even told the story to Henner Gracie, and he was very well, much interested. He said, "Wow, I never knew this." I said, "Very few people know this." So we got exposed to jiu-jitsu, Japanese version of combat jiu-jitsu, in 1977, and my first exposure and training for 2 weeks. I'm not claiming to be a master. 2 weeks, we did rows, and we did choke, lapel choke, and that was in judo also.
Off your back, and
off your back, and
wow.
The scissor sweeps and all those things we learned at that time. And then we started doing the Burmese martial arts. So anyway, from the story perspective, that was my introduction to jiu-jitsu, like with judo, jiu-jitsu. So at an early age in the 70s, I was exposed. I'm fortunate to be exposed to many different martial arts, and leading to my personal development, the system which I teach now, Bushi Ban, it's a conglomeration of the eclectic exposure that I got in the 70s. And then we got exposed to Bruce Lee. I was exposed to martial arts before exposed to Bruce Lee, and then started studying his mindset, which really resonated with the young mind. And I said, I like that, and developing the system slowly in my mind and staying with my system also. So that was my early journey of the martial arts.
And when did you come to the U.S.?
I came to the U.S. in 1985.
Did you land in Houston or?
I landed in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to stay in New York City. My sister is the one who sponsored me, my brother-in-law, my sister, and she's a doctor. While I was entering United States, they were leaving. So my brother-in-law had an assignment with the State Department, and they moved back to Pakistan. And so I was now in New York, and at age 23, you're in New York, you don't know anybody. And so I said, okay, I was there for 2 months. And then I said, no, I had some friends in Houston. And I said, okay, I'm going to, move to Houston and go to school here. One of my main reasons was coming to the United States was education, going to college. And the hidden reason was the martial arts, to compete here. Because, as I was growing up, I was a fan of martial arts. I used to read, all those magazine, Official Karate Champions and all, Black Belt magazine. And it was my dream to come and compete and be with the, creme de la creme of this, because that's what exposure was. The media, wherever the media goes, that's where the exposure is. So at that time, I didn't realize how enriching our culture in Southeast Asia of martial arts. I knew it, but the fame and game was the game, and the fame was in America. That's where you get compete. Back home, we didn't have that many competitions. Especially in Bando, we didn't have, because once you do one tournament, you're down. You're busted up. So, and we were getting busted up almost every Sunday. We call it Sunday Bloody Sunday. We would do bare knuckle fighting every Sunday, and every Sunday there would be bloody noses, broken teeth, cheekbones, cracked ribs, twisted ankles, busted knees. That was normal. That was a normal Sunday. Broken knuckles. And it was getting when I was a little kid, and my teacher never abused, never took me in to get hurt. Anybody who I would spar and fight with, they knew that they were not going to hurt me, because there was a big, difference in size and weight and age, because I was one of the youngest one over there. But I used to get good whooping. I got beat up a lot of times. So came here in 85. And then I moved to Houston in September 1985.
What was the martial arts scene like in Houston at that time? I imagine very limited. What you're telling me, you had a very unique experience with a robust styles and to pick from. But Houston at that time, I can't imagine there was as many martial arts to pick from.
So Houston, so I have schools in Pakistan. So I opened, and going back, okay, let's go back fast, reverse. So I opened my own school in Karachi in 1980, 81. It was called Zulfi's Academy of Martial Arts. Zulfi's Academy of Martial Arts. And it was
I've seen a picture of you wearing a shirt.
Yeah, Zulfi's Academy of Martial Arts. So that was my school. And my whole concept was to teach an eclectic system. See, in Hong Kong, I studied praying mantis, kung fu. In Thailand, I'd been to Thailand several times. In 84, I competed in Muay Thai. I had 6 fights. I had 1 fight in Lumpini and 5 in Rio, in Pattaya. And I was one of the earliest foreigner to ever fight in Lumpini. And it was a B class. It was, again, undercard. It was not the main event. But I was honored, and it's been an honor for me to. And my coach in Thailand was Pong Sopa, the late Pong Sopa, very well respected guy. So I've been to Thailand now over 20 plus time. I have friends in Thailand. I competed in Thailand, 6 fights. I have 5 wins, 1 loss. My only loss was in Lumpini. The 5 wins were under 98 pounds at Rio. And at that time, it was B level, and they wanted to promote Muay Thai outside Thailand. that movement started at that time, and they helped continue. And we had teams from Pakistan start traveling to Thailand and competing, and teams from Thailand started coming to Pakistan. So that was my Muay Thai introduction. And my first introduction was Muay Thai was 1975. So there's another story. Let me tell you the story. So remember this friends who started Bando with?
Mm-hmm.
So their father he had love for fishes. He had aquariums in his house, big aquarium fish. His hobby was fish, creating fish aquariums. So one day he comes up to us. We were kids, and he said, the place where I go to buy my fishes and fish equipment and aerators and all, there's a restaurant. There was a Chinese restaurant, and the head chef is a retired Muay Thai champion. And
sounds like here in Houston.
Yeah, retired Muay Thai champion.
Krupong, right?
Yeah, Krupong. And his name was Muhammad Fakhruddin. His fighting name was Fafa. So, and the manager is a Kung Fu practitioner. And the owner is a Kempo practitioner.
Wow.
And every afternoon, these guys train in the backyard. So we had just started, I'm talking 75. We had just started Bando. And we had some judo and boxing, and I said, yeah, we want to go. He said, do you want to come and watch these guys? So myself and my buddies, we went to this back of the restaurant where the owner had this aquarium. So he would, take the fishes and sell fishes and all. So we saw these three guys, one, Thai guy doing elbows and knees, and the other guy doing Chinese Kung Fu, the other guy doing some funny Kempo style move, which we didn't know what it was. And my friend's father introduced us to those guys, and here, these are my kids. Zulfi is my neighbor, and they started Burmese martial arts. And when the Thai heard Burmese martial arts, Bando, he said, "Oh, really? With Thai?" He knew who Thai was, Master Thai, because Burmese and Thai didn't get along. Bando, and even now, Bando and Muay Thai always have bare knuckle. In Misot, and they have Misot area, they have bare knuckle fights between Burmese and Thais. So he said, "Oh, Muay Thai, Bando, I know Bando." So they invited us to start training with them. So we used to go after school. We come back from school, and then we would eat our lunch, do our homework, and at 3:30, they would train from 3:30 to 5:30 every afternoon, even in the scorching heat. So we would walk, and we would train in the back of the restaurant, and then from there we'd go to a Bando class, which started at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. So we did this for 2 months, and we learned the knees and the elbows, which were very identical to Bando. But my teacher found out that we were doing this cross training. He was mad. He said, "No, you go there, I kick you out. You train here." So that was our 2 months training in Muay Thai, which was beautiful. Muay Thai and a little bit of Kung Fu, but we were resonated since we were Burmese based. So it was more resonating. Muay Thai was more resonating to us. Anyway, so that was my Muay Thai journey beginning in 1975. So
you really got to make a movie, man, about your life, man. You really...
I don't know. So, I've been in 1979, I went to India, and I traveled in India. I studied yoga. I had a challenge match in Bombay against a Czechoslovakian guy. I had gone to visit in Bombay. There's a stadium, Bombay Stadium. So we heard that there's a karate school there, and there was I think it was a Shotokan school, and the gentleman's name was P.V. Mystery. So we went to visit him, and I think I was 18 at that time. So me and my buddy went to visit him, and they were doing martial arts. They were doing, and in those days, you just don't go up and visit another school.
No,
those days were like you don't walk in. So I was like that. I would just walk in anywhere. I was just a fanatic. I'm still am. So we walked in and we introduced ourselves, and they were like looking at us, Pakistan, martial arts, enemies, because India and Pakistan don't get along. So the people do, but the government, enemies. What do you want? We're just watching. We do Bando also. What is Bando? We didn't know Bando. So one of their brown belts, I think it was brown belt, Said, okay, I want to see what Bando is. You want to fight? And I said, what? We didn't come here to fight. He said, no, show me what Bando is. So he's popped me on the, just show me what Bando is. You think you are better than Shotokan? I said, I didn't say that. We're just visiting. And I was like scared, I said, these guys are going to get together, beat me up. He said, okay, we don't want to fight in front of Sensei. Let's go down. That's okay. I never backed out, buddy, let's go. So we go down. My buddy says, Zulfi, don't do this. I said, no, let's go, let's fight. So we went down. It was like in the stadium, and 5 or 6 of his guys came down, me and my buddy. So there was 7 or 8 of us out there. And I said, what, you want to play with rules? No rules. He said, okay, no punch face. You can kick the face, kick the body. I said, what about kicking the leg? He said, no, we don't kick the leg. I said, we kick the legs. He said, no kicking the legs. We don't know kicking the legs. Just kick the face, punch him. I said, okay. So we started, because they took out the leg kick. I said, what about grab and knee? He said, no grab, we show the gun, but I want to see you. I said, my style is to grab, knee, kick the leg, sweep. We do all that. He said, no, just fight me with my style.
Fight me with my rules.
My rules. I said, okay. I said, I don't want to argue here, man. These guys are going to beat us up. We're already outside of it. Okay. So we started, moved around. The fun match lasted about 2.5, 3 minutes. He could not, and I'm not bragging, he could not lay a single kick on me. He punched me a couple of good reverse punches. I kick him with a roundhouse kick on his head. He got a little dizzy because we were same height, but he was heavier. He was much older. And after the last kick, his people got in, and he said, Sensei is coming. So it was like without the Sensei's permission. Mm-hmm. And Sensei was actually coming because they had changed, the class was over. And Mr. Mystery said, what is going on over here? And I was quiet. And I said, they wanted to have a match. And he was very embarrassed, and he chewed that guy out. He said, these are a guest. And he said, he was Czechoslovakian guy. He was a tough guy. So I just wanted to test him. And the Sensei said, I'm sorry, this is not right. I said, that's okay, sir. It was just a friendly sparring match. So actually it got heated, a little more heated. But anyway, that was my Indian journey. And did some yoga in India, learned at Bombay Institute of Yoga, was introduced to Hatha and Raja Yoga there. And I was there for 2 months. We traveled India and we gave demonstrations. And I was the first person, me and my buddy, were only 2 guys. We gave a demonstration at the Kennedy Hall. And there's a city called Agra. There was a big city, and it was a standing room only in the theater, over 7,000 people in the theater. Standing room only. We gave 2 people, we gave about an hour and a half demonstration of different martial arts. And, so it was a beautiful, beautiful time in my life where I'm traveling, competing, a couple of challenge matches here and there. Because see, in those days, testing, the challenge, I want to test. It was not like I want to beat you up, I want to test. So that was pretty prevalent. I've had several challenge matches against Kyokushinkai guys, because they want to test the Bando system. So, I grew up in a time where people walk into your school, where they call dojo storming, and they come to test. When I opened my school in Karachi, there would be many different young people who come in and they wanted to test my style. What is this? I had a guy from Malaysia came in. He was a Kyokushinkai brown belt, Malaysian heavyweight champion, Kyokushin brown belt level champion. He came and challenging me in my school. And, I've been very lucky every time, not been injured, but I've always kept my ground. Thank God. I've never been embarrassed. And so I've had many of these test runs done on me over the course of time. Even in Texas, when I got here, I had a couple of people come to test my skills. I'm an old man now, guys. I'm over 60. So
I don't know. You're just throwing those elbows. They look pretty legit to me. I don't know.
So coming to Houston, I hope I'm not boring you. Coming to Houston,
absolutely not, sir.
It was a beautiful time. There was no hard combat here. all I saw was point karate, AOK point karate, and I was fascinated. I'd never done point karate. We'd done some Japanese style, Sambun Shogu style, but I'd never done American point style. So that was fascinating to me. And I would just go and register and jump in there and got beat up, 6-0, 5-0, 10-0. They would get points on me and I didn't know how to. And as I went to every tournament, I got beat up and I learned. And then many wonderful, great martial arts people I became friends with, who are my friends still today. And they started coming training at my school. I was lightweight. I was a little fast. And
where was your first school at, if you don't mind me asking?
My first school was in Seabrook, Texas. So Seabrook is,
close to Galveston.
Here. And before that, I started teaching in daycare. So another little story. One day I was sitting in my college class and my roommate's friend comes up and you remember green sheets? We used to have green sheets.
Yeah.
They're looking for a karate instructor. And so he said, "Hey, Zulfi, there's a green sheet ad looking for karate instructor." I said, "Okay." So I went and called, and there's a company called Dance Tree Incorporated. Still, I think they're active. Mary Lee Kennedy, Dance Tree Incorporated. They're looking to start a martial arts program. They were tap, ballet, and jazz. They used to teach tap, ballet, and jazz in their school, and they were looking to start a martial arts program. So they were interviewing different martial arts instructors. So she said, "Yeah, bring me your resume." And I said, "I don't have a resume, I have a file." So she said, "Okay, bring me, file." And I went and I met with her, and I had a big, thick file of my paper clippings, magazines clipping, blah, 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 certificates. So I showed her that, and she said, "Wow." So, "Wow, this is impressive. And do you have any experience?" I said, "Yes, I have schools still. Even till today, I have schools in Pakistan. I have schools and I've taught all ages." She said, "Have you taught kids?" I said, "Yeah, I've taught kids. I love teaching kids." "Okay, we want to start this martial arts program into different daycares. And will you be able to do that?" So I would love to, And she said, "We will give you a percentage of our, fees." And in that time, we were charging $29 per month. $29 per month. You would have to go once a week to teach in a daycare. But you have to call them, set an appointment, and do whatever you need to do. Just they know us. You just cold call them and tell them. And I didn't know what cold calling was. I didn't ever done that. So I started calling the daycare. I said, "My name is Sensei Zulfi. Can I come and do a martial arts karate demonstration at your school, at your daycare?" And she said, "Sure." Because Dance Tree was known. They'd known what Dance Tree was. So I would go myself and I would do a demonstration. I would get the kids out of the crowd and teach them some self-defense. I would get the teachers out and teach them some self-defense, do a little mini class. One of my roommates, he was a green belt at one time. Now he's a Bushi Ban school owner. Actually, he's a school owner in Seabrook, Texas.
Awesome.
Our Bushi Ban in Seabrook, he owns that now. So I would take him up and beat him up, and throw him around. So I started from one daycare, and we built this martial arts program in over 40 daycares. And after a year and a half, I hired many instructors. So I would go teach in 2 daycares a day. I would come back from college, and I would go at 3 o'clock, at 3:30 to 4, I would have one class in one daycare, and I would drive to another daycare from 4:30 to 5, another class. So this is, now we're talking 1985. That's when I started teaching kids in daycares. And then in 86, I rented a little room at the back of a daycare to start my school in Seabrook, Texas. And some of my daycare kids, there's another story behind that, but, I don't know if you have time. And then they started training with me. Then I moved to Pasadena Boulevard. So the first school was 900 square feet. Then I moved to Pasadena Boulevard in Deer Park. That was 1,100 square foot. I moved 200 square foot bigger. Then I went down on Spencer Highway and rented a 2,900 square foot school. Then I added another 2,000 square foot next to it. So it became a 4,900 square, almost 5,000 square foot. Then I grew and I got the end cap, which was almost 8,000, 9,000 square foot. I got that location. Then after that, I built my school from ground up. So now I have many different. So that's how the American martial arts journey started.
And
at
how
the
did you
same
go
time,
about?
I was competing all over the United States. I was going to any and every competition I could find, NASCAR, AOK. I did a couple of. I did the first jiu-jitsu tournament in Houston. Tom Dinklage, I think, was the promoter of the tournament, and that's another story about that also. So I had just my knee surgery done about 9 months prior to that, and it was his first tournament. It was at the Jewish Community Center. He had held that. I don't know if you know who Tom Dinklage is.
Yes, I do. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think it was his and Saul Solis. So Saul called me. Saul, they say,
The late great Saul Solis.
late great Saul Solis, you know, we're having this. Would you like to bring your staff? Sure. So I had two students who were supposed to go, and there was gi. We didn't do any gi. We were doing, the dangle tournament. So I said, okay, we'll try the gi. We never done gi. We done judo. So I go there and I get one call. So Zulfi, I can't make it. I had a car issue. The other guy never showed up. So now I'm sitting there. I have my karate gi in the car, and I'm embarrassed because I told Saul that I would support him, and I'm sitting there, and Saul said, "Hey man, nobody showed up." I said, "Yeah." So no, you know what, Saul? I'll compete. He said, "You want to compete?" I said, "Yes." My knee is not feeling well. It was 9 months out of reconstructive surgery, but I've done my rehab enough, and I'll jump in there. He said, "It's a gi tournament. Have you asked? I've never done gi jiu-jitsu. I'll jump in there." So I registered and I jumped in there, and I had two matches. The first match I won, and the second match I had again Vinnie Vincent. There's a guy named Vinnie Vincent. He's been around. He was a judo Olympic judo guy from, I think, Costa Rica, and he was like 30 pounds heavier than me. I met him in the final, and we went at it, and he did a throw that my knee totally buckled, and I was in so much pain, and I couldn't get up. He took me down and he tapped me out. No excuses. I got tapped out. So I got in the first I got second place, proud second place. And Saul said, "Don't do this, Zulfi. Don't do this. You just got." I said, "No, man. I gave you my word, and I love competing, but it was a new challenge. I stretched myself, new challenge, and that was the first time I did. So I helped jiu-jitsu in Houston grow. I can say that I competed in that jiu-jitsu tournament."
Well, when I first started, and probably until today, you held one of the premier grappling tournaments here in Houston called the Dungle.
Yes.
How did you start that?
So Dungle, our first Dungle was in 1995. So see, Dungle is a wrestling word, gathering of champions or championship, and Dungle is an ancient wrestling, pit wrestling. At one time, Dungle was like a vale tudo kind of deal. Striking was allowed, and when the British came to India, they stopped the striking Dungle part of it, and the just wrestling continued. So all these, whenever the wrestlers get together, they do what they call Dungle. There's a movie, a very famous Indian movie called The Dungle. Salman Khan is in it. Very, very
the great Salman Khan. Yeah. I know a little bit about Indian movies. Yeah.
So the movie's called Dungle, and they show Dungle tournament there. So 1995, my mentor, teacher, great grandmaster Dr. Mong Ji, he said, "Hey Zulfi, why don't you start having Dungles in America?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You just have to modify the rules because we don't have the pit over here. So let's modify the rules." And with his guidance and his encouragement, I went and got Dungle. I went to Pakistan and spoke to the Pehlwans there, got the blessing. There's no legality. So yeah, you can do the Dungle. And I came and I did my first in-house inter-school grappling tournament with the certain rules, 30 minutes non-stop. There's no, if you roll for 30 minutes and there's no tap, there's no verbal submission or tap, then you go another 30 minutes. So that was my first. Then the second open Dungle we did was 1996. And we had, I think, 28 competitors. 28 competitors. I don't know if you have heard of this guy, Robert Villegas.
No, sir.
Robert Villegas. He also competed in the UFC, so he was from the Valley. Robert Villegas was a sports karate wonderful champion also, and he was in the UFC, fought in the UFC, turned into MMA. So Robert Villegas and Danny Taylor, one of my top students, Danny Taylor, had the historical Dungle final match. And at that time, we had teams. Saul had his guys. We had a Japanese guy named Yokohama in the spring. He had his guys, my guys. Robert Villegas came down from the Valley to compete. So Robert and Danny had a 30-minute match and a 30-minute overtime. And Danny had a couple of matches prior to that. Robert was fresh. So neither one tapped each other out, but Robert won on, control and dominance. Danny was dead tired. And so that was the first open Dungle. And then 97, I had the second open Dungle, which we had over 50, 60 competitors. And then, all the people start coming in. People come from Dallas, from all over. Because at that time, there were only two tournaments around. Party Slam, Tim Mozzo's Party Slam, and Dungle Submission Fighting Championship. And I continued Dungle till this day. We have a Dungle coming up in Bangkok, Thailand, December 23rd. So we'll be doing a Dungle in Bangkok, Thailand. And several people have been asking me, when are we having the next Dungle? So my last Dungle was pre-COVID, I think 2017. I've done Dungles in Louisiana, St. Louis, Missouri. I've done 2 Dungles in Thailand. And I'm thinking about having another Dungle here. People ask me. So yes, that was the story of the Dungle. And some of the great fighters, Yves Edwards, Rich Clemente, Shannon the Cannon Rich, Paul Gardner, Danny Taylor, Gilbert Martinez, Leo Mana Martinez's dad. Leo Mana, student, he won the Dungle. We would have people come from all over Louisiana, Nebraska, all over the country at that time. A couple of guys many guys who fought went to the UFC, and it was on their resume that they were Dungle champions, Dungle competitors. So the resume in the early days, it helped their resume. So yes, it was in the early days.
And one thing that I thought was unique about your about the Dungle itself was the trophy that you get, and it's passed on from school to school.
Yes, so the trophy would be passed on from school to school, and it was supposed to have been brought back, but unfortunately, somebody
kept it.
Somebody kept it. This guy, the big guy from Gracie Barra Champions, he won it. He took it to his gym, and there's a guy named Kurt something. He has it. He's not giving it back, and that's so unethical.
Really?
Yeah. Ricky. What is his name? Ricky. Some guy, Ricky, tall guy. He won the Dungle of 1 year, and he got the Dungle. He was supposed to bring it back, and he went out of town, and he kept it at Gracie Barra Spring, and they still have it, and they refuse to give it back. I've asked them nicely several times, and they said no. That's pretty unethical. So sad. So if you're hearing me, please bring me that goods back. That's breaking tradition.
What's the name of it? What's the name of the trophy?
It's called the Gurs. It's a wooden Gurs. We have the silver Gurs, which they can take pictures and kiss it, but the wooden Gurs goes around town, or whoever wins it, and everybody's bought it back, but these guys never bought it back. So
back the Gurs. Hashtag.
Bring back the Gurs so we can continue. So
absolutely, because it really was a special thing when the year that one of the competitors from my school had it. And it stayed at the gym, and it was just always there. It was always just a reminder of an accomplishment, kind of like what you said about when you were 14. So I do think that's was an awesome thing for the city of Houston, actually.
Yes, and everybody, and you kept it with pride because it brings good luck. It's pride as a symbol of honor and pride, and and tradition. And the tradition is you bring it back, you give it back to the organization, so next year somebody else takes it. So unfortunately, some people are unethical, and sadly, they never brought it back. We asked them, and I'm not going to go and, there
Yeah.
should be martial ethics. You bring it back. So hopefully they will hear it, and they'll
Hopefully,
bring it
yeah.
back.
Absolutely. Now, how many years have you been in the martial arts?
Over 50.
And you've accomplished so much. What's next for you?
Every day is a beautiful, great beginning. We are doing CGL. I don't know if you know about our Combative Games League. We started the Combative Games League. As a matter of fact, our tournament is next Saturday. Professor Jason and Joe Solis, dear friends of mine. So they are part of the CGL. So it's their tournament. And CGL is an early developmental league where we do modified Muay Thai, we do micro level competition, takedown wars, tackle battle, body striking only, body and leg striking only. Scrappling is a system I created. It's scrappling where you do stand-up striking, and when it goes to the ground, you do only submission. You do continuous submission grappling. So we have great showing, over 250 competitors show up for the CGL tournament. So if anybody hearing it, our next event is August 19th, Saturday, August 19th. It's in Sugar Land, Texas. Go to www.combativegamesleague.com, combativegamesleague.com, and see where it's a wonderful tournament, a lot of fun. It's a developmental league where you develop into, because there was nothing really like this. You either train and go into amateur MMA or go to professional MMA. In my time, you just jumped into professional MMA. There was no amateur leagues at that time. The only thing we had when I fought, it was open palms, So it was like
pancrase rules.
Yeah. So now we had this stepping stone where the kids could, start slowly develop their skill set, and they don't just jump into. It's highly regulated with all the safety equipment, very regulated, and you build them one skill, micro skill level at a time. So I'm building that. We are building ISKF, International Sports Karate Federation, which starts next year. I travel and I teach and I do seminars. I'll be in New Hampshire doing a seminar on seated self-defense at the Weichi Ryu is a big martial arts group, and I've been invited to go do a seminar at Weichi, which is September 21st, 22nd. Then I'm going to the educational funding company. There's a conglomerate of hundreds and hundreds of professional schools. I'm doing a seminar there on October 6th and 7th. I'll be in Thailand, December 23rd. We're doing Dangle and Fight Night in Thailand. We have a big event, and this is my personal invitation to you and everybody else. We call the Bushi Ban Power Week. And the Power Week is 1 week of seminars, training, business development training, martial arts training, our high Dan rank and black belt promotion. So we have the great legendary Troy Dorsey. He is the only man in history who had the boxing and kickboxing title, held the same title in two different sports at the same time. He'll be doing a seminar on Thursday, I believe the 18th. On 19th, on the 20th, Thursday on the 19th and 20th, October 20th, Friday, we have a business development mastermind. There's a gentleman from Australia. He has a group called Martial Arts Media, Marketing Media. So him and Zulfi Ahmed Network, we do a business development workshop, which is open to all school owners and directors. You can go online and register for that. If you don't mind my saying, bushicon.com, BUSHICON, bushicon.com. And you can do the mastermind. You can register for Troy Dorsey's seminar. And we have Professor Ricardo Liborio, a dear friend of mine, Carlson Gracie, one of the first world champions in jiu-jitsu. He's coming down and doing a seminar on Friday from 2:30 to 5:30. Troy Dorsey is doing a seminar Thursday night. Then on the 21st, Saturday, we have our high Dan rank promotion. And I would love for you to be there. If you have time, come. It's going to be at the Clear Lake Recreation Center. Demonstrations, rank promotion, high Dan rank, and just a great time. So we call it the Power Week. So anybody interested in these seminars, go to bushicon, bushicon.com, and you get all the information there. So that's what I'm coming up.
Sounds like it sounds like there's no slowing down your drive, your ambition, and your focus.
Well, I love this. This gives me life. This is martial arts brings life into my life. This is what I live for. This is what I do every day. This is what I enjoy. Today I'll teach 3 classes. I'll go teach the little kids class, big kids class, black belt class. I love teaching. I love martial arts. I love helping people. I have a consulting service, which martial arts school owners from all over the world, they are in my personal coaching program. I help them build their schools, build their organizations, help them, understand the bigger picture of the martial arts. And I have, some high prominent local people who are part of my network, and all over the world, basically. And my goal is to grow my organization and help others grow their businesses, their organization, because we have to do it right. We can do it with our passion, but there's science to this. And once we understand the science of building a business, entrepreneurship, then they grow. Because, I'd rather affect and change thousands of lives than a few lives. Mm-hmm. I have a product, I have a service, I have a life-changing, what do you call it? A way.
Method. Yeah, I was going to say method.
That literally changes lives. It changed my life. And I know how many lives this changed, thousands of lives. So why keep it small? Why not grow it? Why not be the force in our community? And that's what I do to help the school owners. A lot of school owners are very private, introverted. I don't want to know. Yes, it's great.
We're the best kept secret in our neighborhood. Yes, you hear that?
Yes. So we need to grow. We need to touch many lives. If we truly believe that martial arts helps others, then why keep it the best kept secret?
Yeah.
Why not go out in the masses with the drum beating and help others? There's so many kids, they need help. Adults, there's so much that martial arts does. You and I know this. So much absolutely. We can change. So many people we can help with proper scientific methodologies, system. So I help students, I help individuals all over the world, and grow their business, grow their mindset, grow their reach. And that gives me the ultimate joy, ultimate satisfaction when I see a school which started with 100 students, now they have 250 students. To me, it's my job, my duty, but the satisfaction that I get when this guy, when he started with me, or this person was at this level, now they're at this level, I help improve their life. They are making great, revenue. They're helping tons of more people. They're more systematic and help them long run. Sustaining. See, the key is not just new student acquisition, it's sustenance, retention. How long can you keep them? So I'm fortunate that I have people who've trained with me in Pakistan. They're still training with me, there and here. I have people, if you do come to the event, please come. You will see people who've been training with me for 40 years, 30 years, and they're getting promoted now. So I want to teach these people what is it that we need to do to create that connection, the relationship, that influence that people, not because of me, people fall in love with the martial arts, so it's good for them. They continue to train wherever they are, continue to train the martial arts for the rest of their life. So to us at Bushi Ban, it's not a fun style, fight style, fad style. It's a lifestyle. We do this as a lifestyle. We do this to continue to self-improvement, continue growth. And it gives me life. When I go to my dojo, that brings life into my life. That's my higher purpose. That's my calling. So sorry about ranting. No. I
have 2 more quick questions, and I'll let you go. I know you're a busy man, but I've always wondered this, and I wanted to ask you personally before you go. What does Bushi Ban mean?
Beautiful question. Thank you. Bushi Ban. Bushi is a Burmese terminology, Bushido, way of the warrior. Ban is, I've taken Bando. Ban means discipline. And in Pali, Sanskrit, Ban means intertwining. Bana. There's a rope called Bana. It's an intertwining. So Bushi Ban literally means, if you break it down, the intertwining discipline warrior's way. Or warriors, intertwining warriors discipline. So when I created the word, then when I came up with the thought, I wanted to give homage to my Burmese heritage and link Bando, Ban, which is discipline. And I was looking for, how do I bring the eclecticism into the word? So I researched, and Bana is a rope which is intertwining, very strong rope. So it intertwines different concept, principle, practices of different martial arts into one system. And I've always loved the warrior code philosophy: honor, integrity, honesty, loyalty, dedication, perseverance, courtesy, respect, and indomitable spirit. The 9 principles of black belt excellence. So I combine the philosophy, principles, practices of many systems, intertwine them into one system called Bushi Ban. So that's what Bushi Ban means.
I think you have one of the coolest logos. Is that what it is? It looks like an intertwining.
Thank you. So it is intertwining, but it is written in, it's a calligraphy done by a very famous calligrapher in Pakistan. The calligraphy he does, they say it brings a lot of life into that image. He was a very spiritual guy. So I asked him to do calligraphy, and in one shot, this was in one shot. This is amazing. You know, some people take many. He just did it in one shot. So it's in my language, Urdu. Urdu is the language that I speak. It's written Bushi Ban. That's what, and it is intertwining. Every word intertwines into another word, and every dot is the, anchoring dot into the other word. So it's beautifully done.
That's
and
great, yeah.
It's done in Sanskrit, Urdu language, because everything Japanese, I wanted to have a unique identity. So I said, okay, we'll do Bushi Ban in Urdu, and that became my symbol. If you can see it, let me show you over here, the guys. This is Bushi Ban.
There it is. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Looks great on a shirt, on a gi, everything.
Thank you much.
And one last question. Throughout your whole life, the martial arts, your family, everything, what is any advice you'd like to give to anyone coming up today, the young people, people struggling? All your experience, what would you like to say to encourage the generations today?
So I can go on and on, but
or the number one thing.
Never give up. Find your bliss. Find your passion. Know what brings you life. Whatever it is. Sometimes we don't realize that by teaching, I become alive. I come alive. It stretches me. It grows me. And it gives me a certain satisfaction that is like a spiritual high, nirvana, enlightenment. Find that bliss, find that activity, that calling. What is your calling? And don't give up. Don't be like a monkey on a tree, jumping for pa. Stick to, young people, stick to one thing, grow in it, grow with it, grow it, and don't give up. If this is what you want to do, fine, but first have clarity of finding what brings life into your life, what makes that smile, what makes you get up, what makes your heart, get excited about, what brings you joy, and not short-term satisfaction, not impulsive. It's a long-term sustenance. How can you, are you in a marathon or are you in a sprint? So find that and make the decision, decide and jump in it, and take lots of action, massive action. Nothing has been accomplished by thinking, wishing, dreaming. You've got to take action. When you start the first step, the second step, third step automatically. It's like when they say, when you hit the first jab, if you can get the first jab in, the cross is right there. Follow up. If you can get the cross, the hook might follow up. So it's just take the first step, create the momentum, and build on that momentum. So, I mean, we can do a whole series of, motivation, inspiration, but the key is find your bliss. What makes you come alive? What makes you feel alive? And then take action, jump in it, believe in yourself. Don't create doubt. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. Whatever you do, don't say, it might work or it might not work. Say, it's going to work. Be positive about it. Because when you're positive, you build positive momentum. But if you're sitting there feeling doubtful, then of course you're creating doubt. An ounce of doubt creates a ton of regret. An ounce of optimism creates an ocean of wealth. So be optimistic. Don't go into anything negatively. So, I hope this helps. And, be passionate about it. Love it. Live it.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, Master Zulfi. You're a legend, like I said, in the city of Houston and in the martial arts community worldwide. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the martial arts. And I wish you all the success in the world. And come back anytime.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best. And, I hope people find some nuggets in here. And it's been a pleasure and a joy. I appreciate it. Thank you for thinking of me.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye, my friend.
And there you have it, wise words from Master Zulfi Ahmed. I want to thank him one more time for sharing his time and knowledge with us today. If you're interested in training or learning more about Bushi Ban martial arts, his links are in the description. You can also follow my new graphic novel, The Gentleman's Guild. Yes, I'm making a graphic novel. It's called The Gentleman's Guild with artist E. Canalis. You can sign up for the mailing list now. The link for that is also in the description. And don't forget to watch Lion Killer, my debut feature film. That's right, I made a movie. It's called Lion Killer. It stars Regina Ting-Chen, who's currently on season 4 of Stranger Things. You can watch it at Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, Freevee, or you can pop on over to the Roku channel. And thanks again for watching FURYCAST. Before you go, make sure you comment down below, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and yes, even share this video on your social media pages. Until next time, peace.